Hello everyone, welcome to Season 4, Episode 9 of my podcast, Book and Story World with author Priya Gorawal. For today's episode, I thought I would review all the books I have read and enjoyed this spring 2026 so far. To begin with, I read the final book in the Age of Darkness trilogy by Stepan Aryan. The third book in the trilogy, called Chaos Mage, did not disappoint as the story focused on the city of Volochenka, which is under attack every night by the dead. One of the main characters is called Tammy, who has been sent to Volochenka to investigate. Balfrost also returns to the story to help rescue the city. Chaos Mage is filled with magic, horror, and mystery. I'd say that the Age of Darkness trilogy by Stepan Aryan is a must-read. I began another excellent book series called The Dark-Eyed Apocalypse by R.L. Kiebra. The first book is called Day 1 and the sequel Day 2. In Day 1, the world as we know it ends as residents begin to get slaughtered and killed by zombie-like monsters. The story becomes a battle for survival as those killed by the monsters come back to life as the monsters. The story focuses on a man called Matt and his son Josh, who are trying to get home to Matt's wife and daughter. The story is not only terrifying but tragic too. The sequel book called Day 2 returns to telling the story of Matt and Josh's battle for survival. In the story, they come across a woman called Emma and her son Todd also trying to survive the monsters. However, events take a different turn as some humans may turn out to be more dangerous than the monsters. I thoroughly enjoyed the first two books in the Dark-Eyed Apocalypse book series by R.L. Kiebra and can't wait to read the rest of the books in the series. An excellent read so far. After enjoying Goosebumps by R.L. Stine as a child, I decided to read one of R.L. Stine's recent releases called Nightmare on Nightmare Street. R.L. Stine brought the thrill, fear and horror of his older books alive again with his creepy new novel. In the story, R.L. Stine brings classic horror scenes which build up fear and suspense from scary dolls and strange noises and blended them together to create a mysterious, unique story. The book follows two sets of children. The first pair, called Joe and Sadie, move into a new house with their parents. As Joe becomes scared in his new room at night time, a boy called Sean wakes up to tell his family, including his sister Addie, that he dreamed of a boy called Joe who was having a terrifying experience in his bedroom. Sean and Addie then go to school to find their teachers in animal masks along with other strange occurrences. Reality blurs with nightmares as the reader follows the story of the two boys' increasingly confusing existence, which culminates in a shocking ending. I'd say that Nightmare on Nightmare Street is a must-read for horror fans. Another excellent book I read is The Goryeo: Rise of the Messiah by Gerard Le Marquis. The book is everything a fan of horror and fantasy could wish for. I loved everything about the story, from the style of writing to the supernatural occurrences and creatures in the story. The story is about a family going on a camping trip for the weekend. However, when exploring a trail, the family come across supernatural creatures called the Goryeo, who are evil and dangerous and want to harm the family. As the family battle to survive, 18-year-old Toby, the son of the family, discovers he is the prophesied Messiah, with the power to destroy the evil Goryeo. The Goryeo: Rise of the Messiah is a fantastic, unforgettable, mesmerizing read, one I definitely recommend. After immensely enjoying the True Blood television series many years ago, I decided to try reading a couple of the books in the Southern Vampire Mysteries book series by Charlaine Harris that the TV series is based on. In Dead Until Dark, the first book in the series, the reader is introduced to the main character, Sookie Stackhouse, who is a waitress in a bar-restaurant in the town. Strangely, Sookie has the ability to read minds. The reader is also introduced to a planet Earth that lives side by side with vampires in the open. One day, a vampire called Bill enters the bar and Sookie finds she cannot read his mind. The two become romantically involved, which sparks controversy. Terrifyingly, at the same time, women's dead bodies are being found in the town, having been killed. Sookie's life becomes endangered as her new lifestyle puts her in the path of evil danger. I thoroughly enjoyed Dead Until Dark for its imaginative atmosphere and enjoyed the quirkiness of the characters too. In Living Dead in Dallas, the second book in the series by Charlaine Harris, Sookie is asked by Bill to help the Dallas vampires find one of their missing vampire friends. Sookie is tasked with infiltrating the anti-vampire organization, the Fellowship of the Sun, when they come under suspicion of abducting the missing vampire. Sookie has been chosen for the task due to her mind-reading power. Meanwhile, back in town, an entity known as a Maenad has taken over the town, sinking the residents into chaos and debauchery. Both books in the series I have read so far are excellent imaginative reads. Another exciting book I read this spring is Bronwyn by Dylan Loas. Bronwyn is about a woman who died in 1925 and has been tortured in hell for a century. Bronwyn escapes hell and begins to battle monsters and demons on planet Earth. Bronwyn is a thrilling, enticing must-read. I previously read Book 1, A Taste of Torment by Stacey Trombley in her Shadow Hills Academy Relentless trilogy. I then decided to read the second book, A Drop of Anguish, and the third and final book in the series, A Dose of Agony by Stacey Trombley. In A Drop of Anguish, the main character Candice returns to Shadow Hills Academy, a school for supernaturals where she continues her search for the demon who killed her sister. In the sequel, Candice begins to receive notes from an entity calling him or herself the Jinn. The notes are luring Candice into the deadly Acrassian games which she believes is linked to her sister's murder. Candice's love interest storyline continues with Jaren, the demon prince. In the final book in the trilogy, A Dose of Agony, Candice commits to ending the Acrassian games once and for all, while Jaren, the demon prince, battles to save his kingdom he is prince of, called the Underworld. The Shadow Hills Academy Relentless book trilogy is a fantastic, memorable, compelling book trilogy to enjoy. Another interesting book I read this spring is Strange Fate by Graham Phillips and Jodie Russell. The book is based on true events experienced by the two writers. The pair investigate a secret society called the Order of Meonia. The pair begin to experience strange occurrences as they find during their investigation dates have changed along with other alterations to history. The mission of the pair becomes to find the powerful artifact called the Heart of the Rose, which has the power to change fate. The story is a very interesting, mysterious read. I also had the pleasure of reading the sequel book to The Wizard of Oz titled The Marvelous Land of Oz by L. Frank Baum. The story is about a resident of Oz, a boy called Tip, who uses magic to bring his pumpkin head on a body called Jack to life. When Mumby, Tip's guardian, threatens to turn him into stone due to his actions, he flees with Jack Pumpkinhead. The two arrive in Emerald City, which is ruled by the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. However, the Emerald City has been invaded by a female called General Ginger and her all-female army. The group then flee to seek out the help of the Tin Man in getting the Emerald City back for the Scarecrow. The Marvelous Land of Oz is an uplifting, magical, very pleasurable, fun read, which I also recommend to all. Another pleasurable, fun book to read is Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. The story is the sequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Again, Alice enters a world of fantasy, this time by passing through a mirror and entering a looking glass world. Again, Alice meets a host of creatures in the Looking Glass land. Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll is a fun, magical, pleasurable read. Another book series I had a pleasurable time reading is Witchy at 50 by Bella Colbia. I had the joy of reading the 4 books in the series released so far. In the first book, Milestones, Magic and Murder, a woman called Josie on her 50th birthday finds out her husband has fled the country due to bankruptcy and returns home to find it being repossessed. Fortunately, on the same day, Josie receives the inheritance of a manor from a deceased grandmother she never knew. Josie heads for the town of Briarville to take ownership of the manor. In the manor, Josie discovers she is a witch with magical powers and a talking cat becomes her sidekick. However, things take a deadly turn when a dead body is found on Josie's land. Josie must discover who the killer is as the spotlight falls on herself as a suspect. In the sequel book, Signed, Sealed and Deadly, Josie has turned the manor into a B&B. Josie welcomes different dancing troupes into the B&B as they are in town for a dancing competition. Again, Josie must use her wits and magic to solve the murder when one of the judges of the competition drops down dead. In the third book in the series, Christmas Clues and Killers, Josie investigates the killing of the owner of a local animal rescue shelter. Josie investigates the killing with Christmas around the corner. Finally, in the fourth book, Haunted, Hexed and Dead, a funfair rolls into the town of Briarvale. However, Josie investigates as the dead body of one of the funfair workers is found dead on the funfair grounds. As well as the mystery of who the killers are in each book, I also enjoyed the humour and lightheartedness of other parts of the books. I absolutely loved the Witchy at 50 series and the point of view of the main character, Josie. Witchy at 50 is a great book series by Bella Collier. Finally, the book series I am currently reading is titled The Ghost Hunter Chronicles by Yvette Fielding. In the first book in the series, a trio of friends called Eve, Clovis and Tom decide to play with the Ouija board in a scary abandoned house on Halloween. However, the trio finds out that ghosts are real as one follows them all home, leading to terrifying events. In the sequel book, The Ripper of Whitechapel, the trio have become ghost hunters under the guardianship of Eve's uncle. This time, the trio investigate the haunting of 2 children at a school who are still being chased beyond death by the evil ghost of Jack the Ripper. In the third book in the series, titled The Witches of Pendle, which I am currently reading, a boy releases the spirits of witches who were trapped in a bottle. The deadly spirits of the witches are out for revenge on the descendants of those related to all involved in their executions. All 3 books are fantastic reads. The author Yvette Fielding knows how to build up fear and terror in the books mixed with the youth of children. The trilogy so far is a great read for horror and ghost story fans. So that's up to date with the books I have read and enjoyed during spring 2026 so far. I hope everyone's enjoyed this episode, and thank you to anyone who tunes in to any episode of my podcast. I hope everyone has a fabulous week. Until next Wednesday, bye-bye everyone.